Imagine standing at dawn as the very first rays of the sun stretch across the horizon. That golden moment when night dissolves into day has fascinated humans for thousands of years. Across nearly every civilization, from the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of the Andes, people have looked up to the sun not only as a source of light and warmth, but as a divine presence, something far beyond the ordinary. Today we're diving into the incredible world of sun worship, exploring ancient rituals, solar deities, and the mysterious ways cultures across the globe revered the power of the sky's brightest star. Think about this. Without the sun, life on Earth would simply not exist. Plants would wither, temperatures would plunge, and every form of life would vanish. Ancient people didn't know all the scientific details, but they felt that truth in their bones. And so they gave the sun names, faces, and stories, transforming it into gods and goddesses who controlled destiny, time, and even the afterlife. It wasn't just about admiration, it was about survival, about aligning human existence with cosmic rhythms. Let's start in ancient Egypt, perhaps the most famous land of sun worship. The Egyptians believed in Ra, the sun god, often depicted with the head of a falcon crowned by a shining solar disk. Ra was not just another deity, he was the central figure of Egyptian religion. They imagined him sailing across the sky in his solar bark, bringing day to the world and then journeying through the underworld at night, fighting off chaos in order to rise again at dawn. Every sunrise, then, was not just a natural event. It was a victory of order over chaos, a cosmic reassurance that life would go on. The temples at Karnak and Luxor aligned with the sun in such a way that on specific days, light would flood through the halls, illuminating statues of the gods. These weren't accidents. They were architectural testaments to the reverence of the sun. But Egypt was far from alone. Travel east to Mesopotamia, and you find Shamash, the Babylonian and Assyrian god of the sun. Shamash wasn't just about warmth. He was associated with justice and truth. Why? Because the sun shines on everything. Nothing is hidden from its gaze. In their legal codes, kings would often invoke Shamash to legitimize their authority, claiming his rays illuminated their rule. Even in their art, Shamash is shown with rays extending outward, reminding worshippers that divine truth comes with the light of the sun. In the Mediterranean world, the Greeks celebrated Helios, driving his chariot of fire across the sky. And later, Apollo, who originally was not a sun god at all, absorbed solar qualities and became linked with light, prophecy, and healing. The Romans followed suit with Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, whose cult grew powerful in the later empire. In fact, December 25th, a date we now associate with Christmas, was originally celebrated as the festival of Sol Invictus, marking the rebirth of the sun after the darkest days of winter. This blending of solar worship into later traditions shows just how deeply the sun's symbolism had penetrated human culture. Crossing oceans, let's head to the mighty empires of the Americas. The Inca civilization, ruling high in the Andes, worshipped Inti, their sun god, who was believed to be the ancestor of their emperors. The Inca capital of Cuzco was designed with the Temple of the Sun at its heart, walls lined with sheets of pure gold to reflect the brilliance of Inti. During the festival of Inti Raymi, they performed elaborate rituals to ensure the sun's continued blessing on their crops and their people. Imagine standing in that high mountain city surrounded by chanting priests and blazing bonfires. As the sun rose over the peaks, it must have felt like touching the divine. Meanwhile, the Aztecs in Mesoamerica had their own intense relationship with the sun. For them, the sun god, Huitzilopochtli, demanded constant nourishment in the form of human sacrifice. They believed the sun fought a daily battle against darkness, and if it was not fed, the world itself could end. This belief drove some of the most infamous rituals of the Aztec Empire, where captives were offered so that the sun might rise again. To us, it may sound brutal, but for them it was an act of cosmic duty, an existential necessity. Even in the far north, among the Norse, the sun was personified as Sol, a goddess chased across the sky by a wolf. Every day she fled, every night she returned, until the time of Ragnarok, when the wolf would finally catch her, plunging the world into darkness. Here too, the sun wasn't just a ball of fire in space. It was a living, breathing force woven into the mythology of fate and time. But sun worship wasn't always about gods in the sky. Sometimes it was about aligning human life with celestial cycles. Take Stonehenge in England. Those massive stones, dragged across the landscape thousands of years ago, line up perfectly with the solstices. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, casting a beam into the heart of the monument. Why would ancient builders go to such incredible effort unless the sun held a sacred role in their worldview? It was more than a calendar, it was a temple, a living connection between earth and sky. Across Asia, too, solar traditions flourished. In Japan, the sun goddess Amaterasu holds a central place in Shinto belief, said to be the divine ancestor of the imperial family. Her story tells of retreating into a cave, plunging the world into darkness, until she was lured out by a mirror and laughter, bringing light back to humanity. Even today, Japan's flag, the red circle against a white background, is a direct symbol of the rising sun, a national emblem deeply rooted in centuries of reverence. Meanwhile, in India, the Vedic tradition honored Surya, the sun god who rides across the heavens in a chariot drawn by 7 horses. Surya is not just about light, but about health and life force. The practice of Surya Namaskar, sun salutation, in yoga is a direct reflection of this devotion, connecting physical movement with spiritual reverence for the sun's power. Every morning as the sun rises, millions still perform this ritual, echoing ancient traditions that go back thousands of years. What's fascinating is how universal these practices are. From the deserts to the forests, from islands to mountains, humans everywhere created myths, rituals, and monuments around the sun. And while their details differ, some gentle, some violent, the underlying truth is the same. The sun was seen as the very essence of life, a bridge between humanity and the cosmos. Even the mysteries of the occult have drawn on solar symbols, linking the sun to enlightenment, spiritual awakening, and hidden knowledge. Alchemists once used the symbol of gold, the perfect metal, as a metaphor for the sun's eternal perfection. Esoteric traditions taught that to understand the sun was to understand the very forces of creation itself. But let's pause and imagine, what would it have felt like to be part of these rituals? To stand in the courtyard of Karnak as light pierced the shadows? To kneel in the temple of the sun in Cusco as gold walls shimmered like fire? Or to shiver in the dawn at Stonehenge, waiting for the moment when the first light of summer crossed the stones? These weren't just ceremonies. They were experiences that bound people together, gave them meaning, and linked their fragile human lives to something much larger. Even today, traces of sun worship remain with us. We still mark solstices and equinoxes. We celebrate with fireworks and festivals at midsummer. Our languages still use the sun as a metaphor for clarity, truth, and hope. And deep down, when we watch a sunrise or a sunset, we feel a quiet awe that connects us back to those ancient worshippers. It's a reminder that we are part of the same story, still orbiting the same star, still drawing life from its light. So the next time you look up at the sky, remember, you're not just seeing a ball of plasma 93 million miles away. You're seeing Ra, Shamash, Helios, Sol Invictus, Inti, Amaterasu, Surya, echoes of countless deities, myths, and rituals. You're seeing the eternal fire that inspired temples, sacrifices, songs, and dances. You're seeing the light that civilizations bowed to, the power they feared and adored. And most of all, you're seeing the same sun that will rise tomorrow, as it always has, as it always will. This is the story of sun worship, a universal human quest to honor the light that gives us life, a story carved in stone, written in myth, and still burning bright in our hearts today.